Alright, Bonehogs, this video is all about Injustice 2. This is a getting started type of video to really help you learn and understand all the traits and characteristics that make Injustice unique as a fighting game. That does require a little bit of prerequisite knowledge, but this is still pretty basic. I do have a beginner's guide that I'll link at the end of the video if you want to check that out. That goes into kind of just the real starter stuff, but today we're just going over the things that make Injustice unique, how you can use it and optimize it to really get going in this game. So that being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
So the first thing we're going to do is learn how to meter burn. So that is going to help you get the most out of your special moves. So for this example, we're doing Supergirl's Ice Breath. So generally, do the down forward 2, and we have our action button, which is the actual button that causes the move to come out. And we're going to spend a bar of our super meter here, which you see below my my quite generous cranium here. We have 4 bars, and meter burning our move will use one of these bars. So you have to have at least one of these bars to do this. So in order to meter burn, you're going to go to your controller preset and make sure you know which button is set to meter burn. You will see it here, and you see that mine is the RB button. So make sure you know what that button is. It is assigned specifically for this function. So when we do our Ice Breath move, we're actually going to press our meter burn button after we've pressed all of our other inputs. That is important. If you try to press both the buttons at the same time, the meter burn will not come out. You have to have a slight delay and then press the meter burn button. And you see, once we do it, it takes 1 bar of our super meter. So in this instant, it allows Supergirl to get a bigger combo because it freezes our opponent. Something like that. So it's a combo extender. Meter burn special moves do a variety of different things. So it's important to play around with the character that you choose and just go into practice mode and just practice meter burning all the moves and seeing what they do, because they offer a lot of different things depending on what you want to do. So for example, for teleport regularly is a high. If you meter burn it, it's an overhead. Very powerful. So yeah, things like that are very important. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that you have to put in the meter burn button after you input the special move, and then kind of find that window of where it might be too long. Supergirl can actually hold this for multiple hits and then do it. So she has a little bit of a bigger window, making it a little bit easier to time that meter burn. Other characters have specific timings where you kind of have to do it right away. So again, just play around with the character that you pick and find out the best timing that you can for that meter burn. The next thing that we're going to go over is your character power, your trait, it is called. And again, you want to check your controller preset to make sure you know what buttons is set to. Supergirl gets lasers. She doesn't have projectiles otherwise, so she has these lasers she can shoot in all different directions. And you can see right next to my super meter bar, we have our trait meter. You can see it kind of goes down as she's using it, and then if we try and use it when she's out, it flashes red like that, saying nope, you can't use it, gotta wait. And then similar to the special moves, we can meter burn this as well for one big old laser that uses our whole trait meter. That's for really good chip damage and just good combo ender if you need to close out a round or something. So yeah, trait is really, really important. Pretty much every character kind of relies on it quite heavily. It's important to kind of know what they are and what they do. For example, Superman's here, he gets a little aura on him, he gets a damage boost, he can break through armor and all that kind of stuff. So again, just playing around with different characters, seeing what their trait is doing, what the cooldown's like, how to manage it. Not all of them are just straight up bars like this. Some of them have different increments that you can use in different ways. But yeah, it's super duper cool feature, and it makes this game so much fun to play around with. Next, we're going to go over the back 3. So this is a generic move for everybody, and it is a wall bounce. So we'll bounce them off the wall for a combo. This usually has some sort of kind of a charge back motion, and then you can jump and do whatever combo you want afterwards. There's an example of something that I do with Supergirl. But yeah, back 3. And again, this is a unique kind of animation depending on the character. Everyone has different traits and qualities, so let's check out Catwoman's, for example. You see Catwoman kind of goes way down on the ground to kind of avoid kind of attacks that are coming her way. She still can get hit, but you have to do a pretty large mid attack to hit her. But yeah, so that's kind of her thing, as she's trying to be a little bit evasive. And then, of course, you can hold it a little bit if you want. If you say you just want to read them coming in and you're kind of waiting, you can hold it for just a little bit and then let it go. Another nice thing about this move is it has armor if you meter burn it, similar to how we were talking about meter burning special moves. Again, this will use 1 bar of your super meter whenever you meter burn something. Meter burn back 3 is a super good move. You get a really nice damage boost off of it as well. So keep that in mind. It's really good for ending rounds. Alternatively as well, everybody has a forward 3 attack as well. As you can see, Supergirl's is kind of this flippity-do thing, and she has different ranges she can do it at. She can do it close, medium, far. There's some really crazy cross-up stuff that she can do with this. So yeah, and again, every kind of interaction is different. So let's check out Catwoman's. Just a really basic flip kick. Same idea. You can meter burn it to give it some armor. That will absorb 1 hit, so you can't be interrupted. Keep in mind you will still take the damage from that hit. You can do something like that. Another nice thing about this is the clash function, which we will get into a little bit later, is disabled when you do these moves. Both of those are considered unclashable. Again, I will remind you of that when we get into the clash a little bit later. But for now, it's really good, really generic launchers that everybody has. And the secondary thing to it as well that you might seem a little bit important is this move, if we are close enough to the correct corner, will actually trigger a stage transition depending on the map that you're on. Now this is just free damage. There is nothing they can do about any of this damage here. They are forced to take it as soon as the animation starts. So that's an 8-hit combo that you just had to press 1 button for. And again, if you use the meter burn version of it, you will get a kind of damage boost for this. We're just going to the other side here so I can show you, because I believe this one's on this side. And this is going to bring us back up to the second portion of the map, or the first portion of the map, I suppose. Even though we just went down, again, don't blink too much on that. But here we are, back in the same place. So that's a really good way to get free damage. Also, each section of the map has different interactables, so you might want to use a background bounce to bring you to a certain section of the map to give you interactables that are more advantageous for you and your character. If you don't know what I'm talking about with interactables, don't worry about it. We're going into that right now. This is another level of depth to this game that I really enjoy, is that you can really give yourself a huge advantage by understanding the stages and understanding what you can use and what you can't use, and how you can use it to your advantage. So, for example, we have this little computer thing here. Batman, I'm switching up the characters just to keep things a little fresh, you know, just new character on the screen, that kind of idea. Batman can use this to jump off of to move around the screen. So say someone's being really annoying and just throwing projectiles nonstop, and he kind of gets to this, boom, bumps in, kicks you in the head, that kind of idea. So now there are different character types depending on the interactable that you're using. For example, the same interactable that Batman wants to jump off of to go different directions to maybe close the distance or whatever he wants to do, Wonder Woman has different plans. So Wonder Woman's going to come over here and she's just going to throw this at you. Like, sorry about that. Sure, that hurt. And she can do it with both of those, but those are just single use, so she can't use it again after that. Whereas Batman can still jump off of those even after she has removed the computers, because he doesn't really care about that. There are some instances where this isn't actually the case. So we start in this corner, for example. There's this laser that Batman can use, and there's a little bit of a cooldown on it, but you see, kind of in the corner there, kind of flashing white when he's able to use it. Kind of out of view, but yeah, you see his flashes again. And he can basically just do this for as long as he wants, unless Wonder Woman gets in there. Now, Wonder Woman can't activate this by just standing. She actually has to jump into it, but she can throw that laser, and that will now completely disable Batman from being able to use that, because obviously there's no laser there anymore. So there are some instances, especially with this one, where it can get really, really annoying. So if you have a character who has the ability to destroy that, that will give you a huge advantage in this corner against a character like Batman, who's just going to spam that laser over and over again. And that's where kind of knowing how these things work, because you would have to know that your character is a power character in order to be able to do this. And that if you had somebody like, say, a Harley Quinn, for example, who has the same thing as Batman, you don't have the ability to go over and destroy it. So having a character like Wonder Woman or something, or Superman or somebody who you know will go and destroy that, could give you an advantage if you're playing against somebody or an AI that keeps doing this over and over again and you're not really sure how to stop it. Character switch might be in order so that you can try and disable it as best you can. So these are kind of examples of interactables. It's a very heavy part of this game and really is a lot of fun to explore and see which maps have different things, and again, how you can use your stage transitions to give you a place of advantage. So, for example, Batman could do a stage transition down to this area because he knows he wants to get to this corner with this laser. Just one example of how that might work. So here's another example of an interactable as I think they call them utility as opposed to power characters. So for Harley Quinn has actually two different things she can do off of this. So in this corner, she just has to press the button and she runs and jumps off the interactable. Now, if you press the button and then hold down and your kick button, no, like if you actually hold down your kick button to do a kick off of the interactable, she won't just jump off of it, she'll be able to do an attack. What a concept, right? Now, Atrocitus has different ideas for this. It's a little bit more straightforward, but Atrocitus just wants to punch this thing. And big icicle will come down, crashing on the opponent. There's a little bit of a cooldown, but he's going to do it again. And then there's a little bit of a cooldown, and then he's going to do it again. So this is similar to the Batman one. This is one where a power character might have an advantage, just to be able to keep using this over and over in the corner. And then the utility character really doesn't have an answer to it. Just has to kind of play around it or get into the corner themselves. Here's another one that's quick. We see a little flash here for this interactable here. We just take that and throw it at our opponent. Now here's one where they actually have a similarity, but Harley gets rid of it a little bit differently. Throws it on the ground and kicks it at you. So, and then there's just so much variety in these. It's really fun to explore them all. The next way that you can interact with the stages is through background bounces. And not every stage will have them, so again, you gotta go through and practice, but they're in the middle of the stage if they do have them. So here, we have little statues. You see the character will bounce into the background bounce and will bounce them back out. And that's another way to launch a combo. So you can combo into this if you want to. I'll show you what that looks like. There, we just did a quick little 1-1 into the background bounce. And then I find usually a back 3 is usually kind of a good way to keep that combo going after you hit it off the background bounce. So there, something like that. That's how you can kind of create combos. And this is something that doesn't vary by character. They might have a slightly different animation for the startup of it, but the actual hit doesn't really change depending on what kind of a character you're picking, power, utility. They both use the same kind of idea to bounce off the background, and there are some cases where this will actually create other interactables. So in this particular stage, we see there's an elephant here, kind of poised up, and we can do a background bounce here. And we see that the tusk has fallen off the elephant. Just created another interactable that we can press down plus the interactable button to hit our opponent with. Now this doesn't disable the background bounce, it's still in place here. You can still do whatever combo you want after that. So yeah, again, just so much creativity and ways to create combos and situations in this game. It's why this is one of the better NRS games that they have made in the, 15 years I guess it's been now they've been making games. So lastly, on the offensive side of things, the last move that you can kind of use as kind of a last-ditch effort is your super move. This requires your entire bar of meter, so all 4 bars have to be active here, and then you press 2 of the buttons that will coincide with your flip stance and your meter burn button. So for example, for me, it's RB and LB, but check your controls, whatever your flip stance and your meter burn is, you press those 2 buttons at the exact same time. Not to be confused with the meter burn, which you have to stagger a bit. This one you actually press at the same time. And if you have all 4 bars of meter, you'll get your super move, little animation startup. And there's absolutely nothing they can do about this damage once it's already hit them. They're forced to take it. And in Firestorm's case, 509 damage and 91 with our gear and stuff, so just don't pay too much attention to the damage there, but that just gives you an idea. It's usually a pretty decent combo. But it is expensive because it uses all of your resources in your bar, so just be careful about that, especially if it's early on in the game and you might need it for other things. Generally, if you're going to use it, I would recommend maybe trying to combo into it just so you make sure that it can hit. Or if you see somebody miss a move or something like that, then you can try and, someone's out here just swinging, just swanging. You can try and react and hit them with that. So it is kind of a last-ditch effort kind of a thing, and it is clashable, so keep that in mind. But that being said, let's get into the more defensive options of this game. Of course, if you have any comments about anything that I went over or you need some clarification, post it down in the comments down below. And if you need a little bit more clarification or you want some more basic stuff, I will post a little card up here for our True Beginner's Guide I did a few years ago, and that goes over the absolute basics. So that being said, let's get into the defensive side of Injustice 2. So next we're going to go into armor, and your armor is going to be off of forward 3 and back 3, like we were discussing earlier. Basically, this gives you one hit from your opponent where you will be uninterrupted. You still take the damage, so if you have like 1 health left, this isn't going to save you. It's not invincibility. It's just kind of invulnerability where you can't get hit out of it. And keep in mind with your back 3, all back 3s can be cancelled by just pressing back, back, or forward, forward. Again, keep in mind if you're meter burning it for the armor, you're going to use a bar of meter to do that. So canceling without getting any reward is maybe not as great a strategy. But yeah, if you're just doing back 3, maybe you made a bad read, you're holding it, and you're like, okay, wait, they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. Cancel it back. Or you just want to use it as a fake out, move forward, that kind of a thing. But if you use a bar of meter to meter burn it, you are going to get 1 hit of armor and increased damage on your combo as well, as we went over earlier. Let me kind of show you an example of that armor being hit. So we've set Robin here to hit us with his big knife. We armored through that. Still took the damage, but we got a combo. So that's again how you can use your armor to your advantage. Same thing with our forward 3. But we are spending a bar of meter to do that. And again, you're taking the damage from the hit that you're plowing through, so just be careful of that. So now it's time to talk about the Clash, and this is a very, very unique feature to Injustice series. This is an instance where you're going to be on your 2nd health bar. You have to be on your 2nd health bar to use the Clash, and it has different effects if you are the person initiating the Clash, whether you are the person that's doing the damage that caused your opponent to use the Clash. So if you're using the Clash, you are the defender, and you'll be waging your meter to get health back. If you are the attacker, the person who's being clashed on, you are wagering your meter to do more damage. So let's show you an example of each one. So first I'm going to start out here as Aquaman. We are going to be the attacker. So now if we win this Clash here, get a little bit of a cutscene, we're going to use 3 bars here. They didn't use any, so we do 30% damage dealt because they initiated the Clash and lost the Clash. So this is where you have to be very cognizant of your meter, because if you have less meter than your opponent and you clash, you're going to use that Clash and take even more damage, and you lose your meter on top of it. Real quick note in post-recording here, I didn't actually go over how to activate your Clash, which is by pressing forward and the meter burn button after you get hit. So it has to be on hit, you can't clash on block, and you have to be on your 2nd health bar, which means your entire first gray health bar has to be gone. And when you get hit, you just press forward and the meter burn button, and that will initiate the Clash. Back to the tutorial. So here's a situation where we're being attacked by Black Adam, and we're going to clash, and we're going to wager 3 bars. And he's going to do 1. So we win, so we get 25% health regen. We would have got 30, but because he had 1 bar to kind of stop that extra amount of health from being regenerated, we got a little bit less than we would have if we normally would have won that Clash with all 3 bars to nothing. Well, let's talk situations here. So let's say I'm Aquaman here, and as you can see, I have 3 bars of meter. Black Adam has 4. I might want to be wary about initiating a Clash because it's very possible that I could lose. Black Adam could at the very least make it a stalemate by wagering 3, forcing me to wager my 3, and he'll still have 1 left over to do something else with. So in this example, I probably don't want to use my Clash, or at least unless if the combo's going to kill me, it's your only option. You have to. But otherwise, that being said, side note, Clash can't kill you. If you win a Clash, it will always leave you with like 1% health. It'll never just completely kill you. So keep that in mind. It can save you if you can use it as like a combo breaker kind of a thing, but it will never actually kill you. And the last thing that I'm going to kind of go over on Clash, I know this is kind of it's such a unique kind of situation, so if you have any questions or I didn't clarify something enough, leave it down in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to clarify there. Last thing to know about the Clash. So we have the AI to set up the Clash on us here. So a Clash is available. If you want to finish off your opponent and you know that they have the Clash available, you can do a back 3 or a forward 3 button to keep it completely unclashable. So this to that, unclashable. This to that, maybe not the best example. So that's 224 damage. And you can use a bar of meter to get a damage boost on that as well. So there's 336 damage that they just can't clash. They had to take because you had the wherewithal to know, oh, they haven't used their Clash yet. So I'm just going to do that just so they can't use it. And if you're ever curious about whether you use your Clash or not, there's an actual icon next to your health bar, your character name and level that will tell you whether it is available or not. If you see the little sword and shield there, you have your Clash, you're good to go. If it's not there, womp womp, you've already used it. Good luck to you. Hope you do well. So that's the Clash feature. Lots to learn there. Again, hopefully I did that as clearly as possible and kind of showed you some ways to use it and some ways against it. So now we're going to move on to air escapes. So air escapes are a pseudo combo breaker. I say pseudo because they can be baited in certain ways. To use it, you want to press either up, up, or back, back, and the meter burn button while you've been launched in the air. Your opponent has to have launched you in the air in order for you to use this tactic. Once you do that, you can land and either try and punish them or go for your own combo. But yeah, if your opponent overcommits to their combo, then they might get punished. So let's show you what that looks like. We air escaped out of Batman's combo, and now we're safely back on the ground. And you can see he missed his follow-up attack. There is a little bit of a timing window to this. I can't do it like right away, but you can do it just a little bit afterwards, just to cause that to whiff. And then of course you can do it backwards as well, same idea. And now we're out to safety. So you gotta learn the timing a little bit on this. There's a slight delay, and again, you can be baited into it. So let's say we're going to try and combo Batman, and I'm like, okay, he's probably going to air escape this, so bottom while he's landing. So, waste a bar, but I have to read that he's going to do the back one. If he does the up one, and we're in the same scenario, and my bait just completely missed. But I can do other things if I think he's going to do that as well. So that's kind of the cat and mouse game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Again, it costs a bar of meter to do it, so make sure that you're kind of trying to read your opponent and seeing whether they would be ready for it, or kind of understanding what kind of combos they're doing to make sure that you can escape out of it successfully. One thing that's really nice about Injustice 2 is that it has very, very good defensive options. So like we had the air escape, we have the Clash, we've got armor, and then on top of all that, we have another one here in the push block. So this is if an opponent is pressuring you, you don't want them to build meter, you want them to get off of you, that's not where you want them. You can use 1 bar of meter to kind of push them back and away from you. Now this is a little tricky to actually input because you're holding back to block, but you have to press forward and meter burn to do the push block input. So you kind of have to block the opponent, and then after you block, kind of react and almost like meter burn your block. To kind of push the opponent away from you. It is a little bit of an awkward input, so yeah, you hold back to block, then you press forward and meter burn to do your block escape. It won't work if you aren't in the what's called block stun anymore. So again, that'll take a little bit of timing. The timing's pretty consistent on the actual input itself, but yeah, there might be some characters that might be able to skirt it, and it's only on certain moves. Like for example, you can't push block projectiles. That just wouldn't work. Moves like the Molten Trap doesn't work. Just normals like that. Certain special moves as well if they're getting close to you. But yeah, that's just time and experience, you'll kind of get to know this is a really good option to kind of get the pressure off and kind of force back a little neutral game of, okay, who's going to go where kind of idea. I really like this move a lot. So lastly, and this is a move that is actually really, really good to use in this game because this game has huge stages. As you can see here, we're quite far away from each other. A lot of characters really kind of thrive at this range in Injustice 2, and this is the meter burn roll. So we're going to tap a dash, which is forward, forward, and we're just going to meter burn our dash. And then we go all the way from full screen, back in, and we're ready to fight. And this has a little bit of invincibility just in the middle of it, kind of where that little, you see the little explosion happen on our character. That's kind of where we're invincible. So you can get hit out of the startup, you can get hit out of kind of coming out of it a little bit, but there's a little bit in the middle there where you're completely invincible, you can't take any hits, or nothing bad can happen to you. Alternatively, you can use this to get out of the corner if someone has you cornered. Corner is never a place where you want to be in a fighting game, so as soon as you kind of get the opportunity, you go right through your opponent, and out you go to the other side, and now you're moving that back that way. Now, similar to kind of the Interactables, every character is going to have a kind of a different animation, different ranges they're going to roll to, and that kind of plays to their strengths/weaknesses. Flash has one of the better ones because he is kind of helpless out here. Doesn't have really a whole lot, so his meter burn roll is a little bit better to help him close that distance. Scarecrow, for example, has ridiculous range, though his is a little bit slower and doesn't go as far. So it's kind of indicative of what the character actually wants to do, so kind of play around and make sure that you know what your character wants to do. It functions the same idea. You got a little bit of that invincibility there. You can move through your opponent, but as you can see, it's slightly less impressive than Flash's here. So just knowing basically what your character can do to play around. Different characters have different timings and all that kind of thing, so that's just the creativity in this game that I really like. Side note, this little Easter egg. If you hit this interactable 3 times, you get a special message in the little sign there. Isn't that cool? Little NRS Easter egg there. So that being said, I hope you found this helpful in your journey learning Injustice 2. Again, any questions or clarifications that you need, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And if you want a more bare bones basic guide, I'll put that up here again so you can kind of see. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in your next video.
Accept your death.